In Israel proper, there's about 140,000 Bedouins, and they do serve in the Israeli army. Those are Palestinians. This is the West Bank, and Bedouin on a camel with a cell phone. That's how.
Trying to figure out what I did. I don't know. I'm so sore.
How many of you heard of about Masada?
A little bit.
Who knows about it? What do you know about it? What do you know about Masada?
It's a fortress.
Fortress?
And
What made it famous?
suicide, mass suicide.
Masada, meaning a stronghold. And so it's a fort that was built by Herod the Great. Remember that Herod reigned between 37 and 4 BC. And he was not a Jew. He came from the Edomites, which is southwest. See the mountains? That's south of us. That's where he comes from. He married a Hasmonean woman by the name of Miriam. We know he had more than a wife, he had a messy life. Is when the Hasmoneans built a fort at the top by Jonathan, one of the high priests. And so what he did is he took advantage of this and he fortified it by putting walls around. But remember that it's a mount that sits by itself. 2 ways to get up. One from the east, which we use the cable car, so where we came is right up here. And there was another one which is from the other side, west, and that's today called the water gate because from there they got their water. And I'm going to talk about water as we go on the tour. So, Masada was a stronghold, and he built it to hold 10,000 soldiers. So he had soil up here in case he was besieged for so long. He had cisterns. He had such an amount of water that it was unbelievable. And so we'll talk more about how would he get water if it rains only 2 inches the whole year. Okay? He built a bathhouse, and he built a palace and storage rooms. If he built it to hold 10,000 soldiers, so these are the storage rooms. Here's the bathhouse. This is his hanging palace, or the 3 terraces. He built a palace for his guests, which is this one. And these are the ruins of the Byzantine church. And that's basically what we're going to show you. We do not need to go to that area because there's not much to see. I can take you to a place and show you this and say this is a bakery. There's no need to do it, okay? But so we're going to concentrate on this part only. Now we know what made Masada famous is that in the year 66 AD, what happened?
Jewish revolt.
Jewish revolt, which ended up by the destruction of the temple in what year? 70. 70. Titus is the one that destroyed the temple. So it's documented that there's a group, rebels that left Jerusalem and they came and took refuge right on top of this mountain. There was a Roman garrison that they pushed out and they took possession of the mountain. The leader is named Eleazar. Eleazar had followers and they were numbered 967. Now, those were living on top of the mountain. General Silvia, the Roman, came with a 10th legion, about 8,000, 10,000 men. And what he did is he camped around the mountain. He built 8 camps. And he put a wall around it so no one escaped. He thought by putting a wall and surrounding the mountain, they would surrender. It took a year. Nothing happened. because it had so much water up here. This was storage rooms that were fortified and put some food way by Herod the Great. And so that's when the Romans decided to build a ramp. The ramp was decided to be built from the west because it's close, and you can see where it comes up. There it is. They started bringing beams of wood, bringing dirt, and then they reached to the summit. When Eliezer realized that that was the end, he gathered his people, and he convinced them to commit suicide, then surrender. So they chose 10 men, and those 10 start killing their families with swords and knives. And then before at the end, they chose one that killed the 9, and then he fell on his own sword. That's what you know about Masada, right? The ones that survived were 2 women and 5 children hiding in a cistern, and they're the ones that told the story.
Did the people that killed everyone know that the women and children were hiding?
I don't think so.
Okay, so they were
Now,
hiding.
who gives us this story? Beautiful. Now, first, I'm not going to talk more about this. At the end, just before...
This is really dramatic scenery.
Megan said it should be in a movie.
I know. I think I would be Herod the Great.
That would be a good movie concept too, that whole Masada concept.
Now, we know that the Roman...
Yeah.
And there was no resistance whatsoever. And he found that everyone had committed suicide. And then the Romans stayed up here for 40, 50 years, then was abandoned until some Byzantine monks came up here in the 4th century. And they built a church, which is right over there. Until 1836, an American traveler, his name is Edward Robinson. He's the one that identified Masada while he was on a boat right on the dead. Famous archaeologist, he was the head of the team, and what they did is a great job. What you see, the black line, what's under is original, what's above had been replaced. So you look for the black line. There's a quarry where they used to take stones to build what's called a casemate wall. What do we mean by casemate wall? The first wall is right at the edge for protection, right? Then you put another one right next to it and you make your living quarter right in it. Can you picture that? So if you were the enemy and you're attacking this mountain, you have to knock the first wall, right? By that time, the people would have brought dirt and filled their houses or their homes with dirt, so that makes it harder on the enemy. And that's what's a casemate wall. It's a double wall, and you'll be living right in the middle. But during war, it's for protection. So you put pomegranate, fig, date. Now this will be trade-off. Remember, Egypt is fast trade-off. The king highway trade-off. Now, what I want you to look at, here's a good picture of the storage houses. Right? And I want you to move to the left. You notice that there's the continuation of the Dead Sea. Square, there's 3 of them. There's 1, 2, 3. See them? There's 3 Roman camps that were built by squares. Yes, those are the Roman camps. Now, I told you that the southern part had been artificially fed for the last 24, 25 years. So you see the channel, see the water that is taken from the south to from the north to the south. You see it? Yeah. And now when we leave, I'll be pointing it out to you. There's 2 of them. Now, if you go in the horizon, see in the distance, they're in the mountains straight in front of us, way in the distance. Are you with me? Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's Sodom and Gomorrah. Oh. That's believed to be where Sodom and Gomorrah. So Hebron would be further up.
To the left or just straight?
Straight.
Okay.
Straight. Okay? Yeah, let's beat this group. It's so compelling. Color mountain. See it?
Yep.
Are you with me?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's Herodian, which I pointed to you when we went to Bethlehem, remember? That flat top mount looks like a volcano. So that was his summer palace. So that's not far from Bethlehem if you really think about it. As they say, they found there's this ossuary. Some say yes, some no. The tiles on the floor were real before it was stolen or robbed by people. And so this is called the changing room, or sometimes referred to as the auditorium. When you go in, on the right side is the frigidarium. Notice it goes down in the bedrock. That's the cold room. And the one we enter is called the tepidarium, and we will meet in the caldarium, which is the steam room. Right? So, a couple of years ago,
And here we have the ability to use preserving water and energy at the same time. No, they're rich.
Who are the three sons of Noah?
Shem, Ham, and Yafet.
You are so clever. Tell me, what are the grandchildren's names? I'll give it to you. Wait.
Josephus talks about how many Jews the Sicaris killed at Ein Gedi. So, was this something? Now we know that Josephus was good in giving accounts, but who is Josephus?
He was been in the army, right?
Yes,
He had been a general.
Yes.
And then he wrote the history 100 years after he retired.
Absolutely. Now we know that Josephus was a general, and he had the same account like this, that they were trapped by the Romans, and the general was Josephus, and he convinced his followers, guess what to do? Commit suicide, and who spared himself?
Josephus.
So the second name for Josephus is the traitor. There's no other book that talks anything about that. When Josephus talks about 38 towers, how high the mountain, storage rooms, palaces, is accurate. Ramp, he talks there is a ramp. But who lived up here? Now many, and I used to say, they committed suicide. That's a wow, no? What's so wow about killing your family? And some will say, oh, but they're going to be going under slavery. There is a book called Masada Myth. It's written, thank God, by a Jew, not a Palestinian, because you think that I'm creating history. It's written by a Jew by the name of Nahman ben Yehuda, and that's where I got my information. Nahman ben Yehuda says that he refers them to the Hamas people today, a bunch of Sicaris, a bunch of assassins. The Jews do not swear their oath anymore up here. There's many questions need to be answered. Where are the bones of 967 people that Josephus talks about? During excavations, they talked about fire that Josephus said. You know, they set fire, no traces of fire. Where are the bodies? So many questions need to be answered that we still don't know. It's a mystery for this. So many things still.
What happened to Josephus?
These people want to go down by the cable car. So the faster it's the better. Yellow. Go and take a picture of the ramp. You want it.
There's the breach right here. So the wall was built up. They just built more and more and dirt, so all of a sudden you could come right through here.
Once Iga El-Yadin was asked what was the most important artifact he found on Masada. Dozens of priceless objects were found here, he answered. But if I must point to one find, it would be these ostraka. These potsherds. These may be the lots that I'm holding now. Potsherds on which the rebels wrote their names. 10 men who were chosen were the only ones who remained. Their equipment had already burnt, and each of them had already killed his wife and children. Then they drew the lots. Who would kill the 9th man and fall on his own sword? And in the morning the Romans arrived, and besides 2 women and a few children, everyone was dead.
Yahweh's name should be written. Scriptorium, there is a room outside that they believe used to copy those manuscripts, they found inkwells. But some scholars believe that this community had nothing to do with the Essene. It's believed that there used to be a library up in Jerusalem. After the destruction of the temple, they brought those scrolls of those books and hid them in caves until this century. This was the biggest find. The number of caves were 11. Famous one is cave number 4. I told you in the past, the reason it's famous, they found 500 books out of 800 in that famous cave. So this is what I'm going to show you outside. He lost one of his sheep, and so as he was looking for it, he found a cave, and for curiosity, he throws a stone in, and that's where they found the Dead Sea Scrolls. He sold them in Bethlehem by a guy named Kandu, and that's where they knew how important those scrolls were. The word Essene comes from pious, meaning a healer, and it's believed that they originated in Babylon after the Jews were expelled by Nebuchadnezzar. And some came back and lived up in Jerusalem. But they considered themselves to be the son of light against evil, which is son of dark. And outside there's a small archaeological site, much smaller than what we visited at Masada. And so we're going to go out and talk a bit about the mikveh. Mikveh, it's a ritual bath for purification that we're known for the Essenes. And so we're going to continue that way. It's believed about 160 people would have lived at a time in this area. We found the cemetery. The cemetery is straight to the front. You can see there's a blue sign. Out of 1,200 tombs, they found there were women and men and children were buried. Even though the tradition, and I said to your right, this goes back to King David's time, that's where they found lots of mikveh. Again, some of them, they have two flights of stairs. It could be one side you go down impure, and the other side you come up pure. Many scholars started to believe that maybe John the Baptist was one of them. Because remember that John the Baptist lived in the Judean desert. He's the one that baptized Jesus. And so not far from him would be the Jordan River. And that's why with the movie say that John was beheaded, remember? And where he was beheaded is a place called Macarius, which is in Jordan today. Further on the other side, there is actually some ruins for Macarius, and that's where he was beheaded. You know, there were three main Jewish sects. I know there were more, but the three main ones were Essenes, or Pharisee, and Sadducees. So many scholars started to believe that maybe Jesus was influenced by his cousin, John. So even John. And so maybe, why, if you read in the New Testament about the Passover meal, you find a man carrying a jar of water, and we know that was women's job to go and get water, right? But how come you find that this time it's a man that's carrying water, and that Jesus tells them, go and follow him to the upper room, or to the upper section, and that's where the Passover is. So some started to believe that maybe Jesus was an Essene. Maybe Bethany was an Essene, where Lazarus, Martha, and Mary lived, and maybe Nazareth was an Essene. Any questions? Yeah, where's the cave? Over there. Yeah, let's go. Why this is famous? Because they found 500 books out of 800. Imagine 800 books 2,000 years ago. That's a library by itself. Again, most of them were in scrolls. So today, what did they do? They built a museum, and they built a museum like you are inside the jar, and the top of the jar is this roof of the museum. But when you walk, as if you're in Cave 4, they did that exact shape. And I had some people that used to visit that cave before 1967, that they've been down. Of course, at that time there was no gift shop, there was nothing. All right?
How tall were the jars?
How tall?
As big as you?
No. Maybe
Dennis.
up to this, you know.
When he's talking about books,
Remember the one they made the replica?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
Oh,
size.
they look taller. Okay, there it is. Okay, up to where you think. What's the size?
They said that these rules that every book by Esther was written.
Oh, really?
Is that right?
Sure.
Oh, no,
Work our way up.
Turned it off.
Hi, girl.
The picture didn't come back up, and it says change the battery pack. I don't know if I got a good shot.
Where are you going?
Dennis, can you direct the women over this way when they come down? Going over this way.
You want some mud on you, Dennis?
No, thank you.
I got some guys coming towards us here. He didn't.
Going this way.
Okay, I'm like looking. Thank you. Can't wait to see Grandma.
Look, there's Jay.
Jay is floating.
Where can we put the cameras?
They'll be here so they can watch it.
Watch these.
Are you staying here, Dennis?
I am.
Okay.
I am. I wouldn't miss this for the world.
This is cool. Hey, Megan. Megan, you got a tag hanging out your little butt there. There you go.
It's a jam. No body fat at all. You cannot.
Inflatable chair? Yeah, you get like air. Oh, just do it. Floaty. Brilliant. Look at Brent turning into what's that? Apocalypse Now. Brent, you look like Marlon Brando in Apocalypse Now. Ouch. I'll give you one guess.
Yeah, just like lay down. It's so weird.
Oh my gosh.
Look over.
It's so cool. Get in.
Wow. Wait, nothing lives in here, right?
Woo! You don't believe it?
How about this? Scotty, if you just like tip back a little bit, just go right on your back.
Yeah.
Come on, Megan, today.
Has anyone ever drowned in this water?
I'm sure you can, Dawn.
I feel like I need
I'm trying to hold myself up.
Hey, what are you guys doing? Someone's on their belly. Give it a try. I'll take the picture.
like immediately goes up in the air.
Yeah, it busts us.
Come on, you going to go in?
Do it. Flip up.
Keep your shoes on. Because it's slimy. Did you get? Hey, Megan, Amy, guys, face us. Get everybody to face us. Yeah, that's good. Getting a really low battery here. Hurry up, hurry up.
It's got a taste of it. It's so bad.
Sure. Greg, can you get front? What? I'm so mad at change the battery. Hurry it up.
Here, you're floating.
Hey, get a picture of me.
Alright, hang on. Stay floating. Gabby. Like
It's Becky. Denny's up here.
Oh, is that where you want this?
Someone help me.
It's under the towel. Lift up the towel.
Rub your eyes. Rub your eyes. It'll be all better.
No.
Helen. Hey, Helen Keller.
Here, Jay, do you want? I mean, Scotty. You want a towel?
Yeah, I put my head under and burned my eyes.
It's okay. It's okay. You can. No need to see.
Thank you, Mrs. Bride.
And that is for the. That goes to the oldest.
Carol, you're
That's the oldest. But Carol, doesn't that mean you're the next oldest? It's just we're going in order.
No, you're younger than me. I know, but I don't want to embarrass you.
Yeah, it's your party. Yeah.
Oh, look at this.
Oh. Yeah.
Crack them open.
Yeah, that's important.
That's very. I think they're little Swedish pancakes.
Yeah.
Think of that. That's so perfect. Brings, you know.
What are they called?
I mean, think of that concept of potato chips, so perfect.
I know.
You can put them in. That's Make sure you get that. There's another book of the Bible. We've learned about it now. And the questions here tonight which are the tiebreakers for this hotly competitive contest, come from the Gospel according to Eon.
Yeah.
Question number 1 from the Gospel according to Eon. Why is the Rock of the Dome significant for each of the world's 3 leading religions, Christianity, Judaism, and Muslim?
She had it first.
The Jewish people believe that's where Abraham sacrificed Isaac. Or it was.
Well, did he? Yeah, that's not even that. Oh, he didn't Isaac lived to see another day. What kind of?
He was going to sacrifice.
Oh, right. We have to go off stage. Semantics? That isn't semantics for Isaac. Isaac took it pretty seriously.
I'll get it. Is that right? No, that's the first one. She has to answer two-part question.
Yeah, the way this is going.
It's also where the temple was built the second time around, and it's also where Muhammad was purportedly to go up into heaven and meet with God and to receive the prophecy that he later brought down to
Right.
earth.
And what was contained in the temple that was so special?
Well, it's the wall, it's his foot, Muhammad's footprint.
No, for Christianity.
Well, she got the...
Da 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 da. Ready? Da 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 da. Ark of the Covenant. Yes.
That's in there.
Yes.
That was going to be one of them. Oh, who were the 2 who tore down the temple? And, okay.
Bzzzt.
Titus
Right.
and Nebuchadnezzar.
Ooh, she
Whoa! Bible.
Okay.
Gosh, I never thought that was money well spent. Did you?
Okay. Now, the next question from the Gospel according to Eon. How many sects of Christianity are there?
That's according to Genesis.
Now, she already won.
Oh boy.
Oh, the panic sets in.
Go with 330,000.
John.
You're next.
Oh, 30,000.
Bingo.
No.
I was off 300 grand.
Hey, you know what?
Oh.
Another interesting question, how many were registered in Jerusalem? Did you have to register?
Five.
All right.
Okay.
5.
Okay.
What did you know?
Now you have 2.
All right.
No, he doesn't have that one.
No,
One more
I'm glad I didn't
question
win
from
that
the Gospel. Oh, did you open your present?
Yes.
Poor Mason's got 2 boxes of converters.
Boxes are hard to come by. Did you see?
We have a lot of them at our house.
He even got the menorah.
Okay, do you, how many presents? 2 more, okay. Next question from the Gospel according to Eon. What is the distance from Bethlehem to Jerusalem? David.
4 miles.
No!
4 miles.
That's right.
What is that? Oh, I didn't raise my hand.
Oh.
Scotty did.
Is it 8 miles?
No. 45.
No! 3 miles. Bingo.
Yay!
Are there, and what are they in Jerusalem?
Oh, in the old?
9. 4. I have to name them. I don't have to name them, do I?
No.
you don't.
Bonus points. Give it.
If you can, that's bonus.
We'll give you some M&Ms.
Jewish,
Yeah.
Muslim,
Yeah.
Armenian.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's only 3.
The one we were in. The one we were in.
3 quadrants.
The one we were in yesterday.
One we were in yesterday.
He did Muslim.
What
Are you serious right now?
It's not the Arab.
He did Muslim. David, what are you?
Christian? Christian slash Armenian.
All right, well, let's do the English thing. For he's a jolly good fellow. For he's a jolly good fellow. For he's a jolly good fellow. nobody can deny.
Very well, right?